getting rid of one route because of budgetary issues will be affecting such and such.
Sure, the only problem with that is I was there at that meeting, and at that meeting, it was...
Chairwoman, I just wanted to make mention, I have to leave, so I'll be leaving now.
Okay.
I'll be returning, perhaps you already be into
probably be
executive session, but I am leaving.
Okay. Karen, make note of that. And I would also just like to address your bus change. I think in a normal, I think if we would have seen more bus changes than a normal year, then maybe that, but the fact that we had the same or close to the same number as last year, most of them are probably just typical bus changes that were likely going to come in anyway. I do agree with you, though. I think notification of perhaps pickup times and changes may have, it would have been nicer to have that in advance if your students' bus time changed significantly, and I know some did.
I was just going to say at that meeting, it was mentioned that K through I don't know, 4th grade would not be affected at that meeting that you're referring to, and then it was changed, and I think we've had a conversation.
Was that the Wednesday? The
That-
recent,
I think she was.
that was the
mentioning
recent
Wednesday
one?
No, that was the meeting that when all those budget cuts were made.
Way back?
Yeah, way back when, and when it was finalized, Macumber and the elementary school were not. So when the change did occur, it was a big surprise to me because I knew it was coming, but I thought it wasn't affecting me. But anyways, I do think, I just want to say that
Can I interrupt you 1 second also? I actually thought the exact same thing you did, because I had spoke to a parent, and I spoke to you on the Monday. I spoke to a parent in a local store on Sunday, and I said, don't worry about it. K through 4 is not going to be affected. That's what I thought we voted on, and I asked that to be looked up in the minutes. I think I sent it over to you, Michelle, that
I have them right here.
that I thought that's what we voted on, that K through 4 was not going to be affected at all. 'Cause my son was going to be standing at the door, and he ended up going 8 houses down the street. And if it wasn't for that meeting on Wednesday night, I wouldn't have even looked online. Because I was under the impression, I gave out wrong information, that it wasn't going to affect our younger kids. It was just the high school and middle school that was going to have consolidated
was.
stops, because they were older.
I remember that.
I don't remember.
Because I remember thinking, oh, great, it doesn't affect me at this point.
Yep.
And then I think we had a conversation about it, and you said that later on it was changed because you found out that that was not a state requirement. Do you remember having that conversation?
Yeah.
So I think it was decided, this is my...
But it happened to be undecided. That's what I'm...
I think it was a state requirement that we transport K through 6 at no fee, and that we had to
Yeah, I
provide
think that's what it
transportation.
was.
7 through 12, we don't have to provide transportation, and if we do provide it, we can charge a fee for providing transportation. So I think that's
No,
kind of
it
what
was
we
it was
had.
definitely picking that
Picking up
they
the
were not
front
going to
door.
be, I know
even
for
talked
100,
about it, that
I know. that
I don't
that's-
recall that. I am looking at the minutes. I don't see a reference to what you're saying.
To look at the
We
Can
could
have
look back
the,
at the tape.
Video?
Yeah.
Can we still
I
have
was just
videos
saying,
of all
we
this?
have the
Can you
video.
pull that,
We
please?
can
'Cause
look
I'm
back
under the
at the
impression
tape.
the same as she is, that we did not.
But I do
Change K
have,
through
I am
4.
looking at the minutes, so, because I did look up the minutes to see if that's what was discussed, and I don't recall it. I'm not saying it didn't.
Did you look at the one in the high school?
This is the one on June 27th, so this is the one here when all of the cuts were actually made.
I think the question was proposed or asked in the high school, and I got up to the mic, and then you came up after me
You
and said,
mean
I'd
in the
like to
auditorium?
address.
The auditorium.
The auditorium. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, this is the high school.
subcommittee meeting.
That's when,
That was probably the subcommittee meeting that happened that night
I wasn't at the
in
subcommittee.
the auditorium,
Oh, so maybe-
so I don't know.
that's when I know it
We
was-
can look it up and see, I mean, at this point, I don't know what, but
okay.
anyways.
So,
I mean,
okay, so,
I have 2 kids at the elementary, and my expectation all along was that, our route was in fact going to change. I never,
That was,
Mine too.
I also have 4,
Well,
and my expectation was that we were not going to be,
well, the tape will,
Unaffected.
if it was
We'll
on the
look
tape,
at
it's
it.
on the tape.
We'll look at
so.
it, and do you have anything else on
I
your
do,
list?
it's two quick things. If we could have changes made quicker, like, for example, the changes for the buses were made today at 6, we're getting notification that my bus route's going to change tomorrow, and it's, the night before, that may or may not affect me. And so if the changes could be made in a more timely manner, it would just be very helpful. And then in regards to safety, I had also sent I think I called you, and we talked about how my bus, our kids are crossing Gifford Road, and where they're crossing, it's kind of like a bend, and like all of a sudden, if a car's, going quickly in from 177, they're going to be right upon a student, and it could be my daughter crossing in front, and she could be right with me or my husband, but they're going to be right there. And that, to me, is a safety issue when either A, they could reverse the bus route, or B, they could just go in through our development. My daughter would still have to walk. I don't have an issue with her walking because someone will be with her, and then just go right around. And that was a suggestion that I made, and I was told to wait on that. And it's a safety concern for me.
And was, like, I'm still working on that. I had to get the total enrollment for the buses. I had to find out the capacity for the kids that are riding, and I'm working
Sure.
till 11 o'clock at night, trying to get all of these changes made as quick as possible and to turn around as quick as possible. The Route 4, the 8, and the 15 that were changed, a lot of those parents I had spoken to already over the last few days, so those routes, I had spoken to parents, I did a one call, I made the change, I wanted to talk to the drivers, so that is kind of quick, but at the same time, I had 67 kids riding on bus 4, and they were adult kids, so some of those were quick turnarounds, and I apologize for that, yet at the same time, I'm trying to...
doing the best that you can,
I'm trying
and
to
I
get it all done
appreciate that.
quickly, and yet still keep in mind the safety, so...
Right, and I would like to encourage people, like you have done, to be in contact with Michelle Raposa at the school, because issues like what you just said, look, my daughter's crossing on a curve and a car, and what if we reverse the route? I know she's been trying to work with parents to tweak the bus routes for safety reasons, reverse the route so they're not crossing, or whatever it may happen to be. And she has been, I know, been working with parents. So I encourage, and I know she's been telling me, encourage parents to please call me. If you want to contact us as well, you're more than welcome to. But a lot of times I refer to her and I say, have they talked with you about this concern? And she may say, no, not you did, but some have
Well,
not.
She's got so, I mean, and I don't blame you. I appreciate
no.
everything that you're doing. I honestly really wish that if you would have decided to make these changes, we would have just postponed them. I had mentioned, I had sent an email to the superintendent asking to please just postpone these changes so parents would have adequate timing, and so that these changes, so Michelle's not working till 11. That's not even fair that she should be doing that.
Plus,
So
she's
she
also
can,
food service director.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
and a lot of those changes for the road that we did, that were the changes are being made on, it's the same buses. There's 2 buses that are mainly going down Sanford Road. So this change for today affected mainly Sanford Road students. So it affected Sanford Road, Benoit, and a little section right off of that. So it was fine-tuning a lot of the parents where some of them were like, well, I would rather be on 4, and I would rather be on 15. So that was one big area of students that probably were, that was probably like I had 160 students probably on that road between Mac all the way up to high school. So that was really a good, quick turnaround of an adjustment that I could make that seemed to
Affected a
work.
large amount.
Right, for a large amount.
okay, well, thank you, and that's basically.
No, thank you. And I mean, I guess the thing here is you are still tweaking
Oh,
and
yes,
changing.
definitely.
And obviously the bus routes are very hot the first couple of weeks. There's a lot of things going on. So
should I
as
call?
things,
Just drop me an email, because I like doing the email, because then you have what I said, but,
And you have the
indefinitely.
and her
issues.
email,
And you have
just
the issues.
for everybody out there, is mraposa with a Z at westportschools.org. And you can certainly email us at sc@westportschools.org, and that goes to all 5 school committee members, and CC her on it if you'd like, but, definitely let her know of any concerns you have. Is there any other parent that wishes to speak?
We also have the Westport Police Department that we've been in contact with, so families know. If you have an area of your street, your home, that the traffic has been having difficulties, you see that there's areas of concern, the Westport Police Department have said, call us up, tell us the area, we'll come down, they'll put a car there, they'll monitor what's going on to, see if there's any type of concerns or things that they can help with in any sense of the way. So that's just some extra information. If you see something going on, please let us know right away, and we'll contact the police department too.
Tell us who you are.
Okay,
and
My name is Lorraine Coit. I'm here as a grandparent today. I've been
You
here.
have the same last name?
No.
Similar.
Coite.
Okay.
I've lived in West Boston since I was 5 years old. I'm now 72, so I've seen a lot of problems with buses and everything else. This is one of the worst. I'm talking now not for a little kid. My grandson is 13 years old. He's the last one going to school. He's on Beeden Road. Why does it take an hour for him to get home when he's 5 minutes from the middle school? Doesn't get home till 3 o'clock or a
It
little
goes
later.
by the direction.
It goes backwards
Right,
again.
it's going backwards
So
again.
he's the last child, next to the last, picked up in the morning, so he's being
He's
picked up
getting-
late.
Well,
There's no
right.
room on the bus, so he tries to go sit down the back, and every kid is telling him, no, so he ends up in the back of the bus with kids a lot older than him, because you know that's where they sit. And gets to
What grade
school,
is he
has
in?
to rush in.
I'm sorry, what grade is he in?
He's in 8th grade, and he does have special needs.
No, I didn't need to
No,
know that.
but
I
that's,
just-
you know, I don't get taking an hour to get home.
Well, some of the routes, just to keep in mind, your child or anyone's child might be picked up late and only have a short period of time to ride the bus in the morning, but in the afternoon, then they might be riding longer. So they try to reverse the time, so that way, the kids in the morning that might ride, say, for the hour, in the afternoon, they're dropped off first.
But then in the morning, he's
He's
getting
coming in
picked
late.
up later.
Our bus is
And there's
also-
no room for him to sit because they're all telling him there's no room now.
And
And
all
I know
they-
we can't afford bus monitors, God forbid, you know.
All they need to do is drop me an email. I can make sure with the bus driver that there's a seat. The kids cannot be telling them, no, you can't sit here, no, you can't sit here.
My daughter-in-law said yesterday the bus driver just went like this, you know.
Yeah,
Hurry up
no,
and sit down.
You
Sit
have,
down where?
you have your daughter-in-law contact me.
Yeah.
send
Well,
me an
she's
email.
called you and she sent an email, but
But I never
Not
heard
about that
anything about
particular
seating.
issue, but
Okay,
about the
'cause I
time
was
on the
gonna say I
bus.
haven't-
No.
Yeah, the time on the bus, like I said, if a child in the morning is riding for 45 minutes, in the afternoon, they might only be riding for 15, 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of reversed so that all the students aren't riding the longest distance both morning and afternoon.
there's no chance of them changing these bus routes. That's it.
We're adjusting them and fine-tuning them, but not to the point where I would have the kids that ride for an hour ride the same hour in the afternoon. I just feel it's kind of being fair to say that if you ride 50 minutes in the morning, the afternoon you're only riding for 20 minutes, or vice
Well,
versa.
it seems kind of crazy to be riding an hour in a town like Westport to start off with. I
They
can go
are-
to Boston in an hour, you know?
They are limited. There are other kids too that are riding, and I feel for you, believe me, because all of us sitting up here, we're all affected by the bus routes as well. And I do feel for you. My son is getting off at 10 minutes of 4, so
Yeah,
I do
crazy.
feel for you, believe me.
Well,
And I
not
know
so much
Michelle
me
is
as the
working.
parents, but I said,
I
I will
mean-
go and I will say my piece. Okay.
No, and I appreciate it, and please keep working with Michelle. Like she said, she's getting 80 or so
I know, yeah,
phone
I
calls
know.
and 45 emails
Sure.
a day. That's virtually impossible to get back to everybody in one single day. I know
Mm-hmm.
she's got some help doing that, but please continue to be in contact with her. Feel free to update us and let us know how things are going. Absolutely, the seat is an issue. If he needs to have a seat, and those students should not be telling him you can't sit here. And honestly, the 8th graders should be not sitting in the back with high school kids either. So, there should be some separation
Yeah,
on the
that's always
bus
an
routes
issue.
also. And I know that's something that she has worked with the bus drivers about.
Like I say, in an ideal world, you'd have monitors, but it's not an ideal.
I know.
world.
In an ideal world, we'd have 20 bus routes, I think.
I'd be 5'10" in a monitor.
Yeah, me too.
Is anybody else?
Thank you.
You guys don't mind hearing them, do you?
No,
Oh, good.
that's why we're here.
Well, I
I'd rather
know.
hear that than, I'd like to pass over the next item though until, because we do have other issues.
We can,
How you doing? My name's Jeff DeForge. I have a one-year-old child, first grade child, and a fourth grade child in schools. One of my biggest questions was, when these routes were all changed like this, how was the routes decided? Who decided this is where this bus is going to go and this bus is going to pick up this person?
Michelle, you can
By
address that?
area, we have a VersaTrans software, it's a transportation software, and what I do is I basically take the areas that the routes had run the previous year. I tried to put the same drivers for the majority of the areas back onto those routes, and then we tried to cover the areas in a more efficient way, so that's what the software does. The software tightens it up so that there's not 12 kids riding on a bus. It tries to cover more of an area than going from here to there and only getting 12 kids. It tries to see other roads that it can pick up and still staying within the timely fashion. We have to put into the computer how many minutes are the kids supposed to be able to ride on the bus, what's the full capacity of the bus, what time, how long are you stopping at each stop, picking up children, how long is the bus sitting at this school before it starts its run. We have to input that, and then the computer at that point takes the children in those areas and puts them on a bus. If I have right side pickup, I have to say that I want these students on these roads, right side pickup. So and that's where basically the routes come from.
Now, if the bus company was the bus company consulted, would they have anybody there that would have actually looked at the routes and said, well, we have 12, was anything,
They were given the routes
Information
2
shared
weeks
with them?
before school started, yes. They were given the routes 2 weeks before school started.
but
The
they
routes
didn't
were
have
handed-
they didn't have any say in the route, is what I'm trying to
Oh,
point
they
out.
do. If,
When they went out there, when this route was decided, did the computer know that you're gonna drive 6 minutes out of the way to go pick up somebody and drive by other bus routes and everything else?
yes.
Now,
Those routes go to the bus company. The bus company then takes their drivers, send them in 2 weeks prior to school starting. As soon as they've got the routes, they sent their